You're tuned in to Floridian Rollo. I'm your host, Floridian Rollo, and I'm coming at you with another live stream on this Friday, November 21st, 2025. You see the title of the video. So without further ado, let's hear what Mamdani and Trump has to say. Let's get right to it. Let's go.
Appreciated the time with the president. I appreciated the conversation. I look forward to working together to deliver that affordability for New Yorkers.
Thank you very much. Any questions, please?
President Trump, Stephen Nelson from the New York Post. I've got a question for you and then also one for the mayor-elect. For you, you've referred to Mr. Mamdani as a communist. Could you describe why you feel that way? And also, will you do anything to stop him from arresting Prime Minister Netanyahu if he visits New York?
Okay, so we're going to get to that. That's an interesting question. Let's listen to it.
We didn't discuss your second part of the question, and on your first part, I mean, he's got views that are a little out there, but who knows? I mean, we're going to see what works, or he's going to change also. We all change. I changed a lot. From when I first came to office. It's now quite a while ago. It's quite a while. My first term was great. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We're doing even better now. We're doing much better now than we did even the first term. And I can tell you some of my views have changed. And we had discussions on some things. I'm not going to discuss what they were, but that I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually. And some very liberal people he won't surprise them because they already like him.
And Mr. Mamdani, it sounds like you had a productive discussion, but just days ago you referred to President Trump as a despot who betrayed the country. You said you'd be his worst nightmare and accused him of having a fascist agenda. Are you planning to retract any of these remarks in order to improve your relationship?
I think both President Trump and I, we are very clear about our positions and our views, and what I really appreciate about the president is that the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers. And
I mean, you do got to give the person a chance. At the same time, it's going to be very interesting to see what his constituents have to say. What does Chuck Schumer have to say? What does Hakeem Jeffries have to say? What does Jasmine Crockett have to say? Because I want to see what they have to say about this meetup. I do want to see what they have to say about this meetup. Anyway, let's continue.
frankly, that is something that could transform the lives of the 8.5 million people who are currently struggling under a cost of living crisis, with 1 in 4 living in poverty. And the meeting came back again and again to what it could look like to lift those New Yorkers out of struggle and start to deliver them a city that they could do more than just struggle to afford it, but actually start to live in it.
And I've been called much worse than a despot, so it's not that insulting. Maybe I think he'll change his mind after we get to working together. Yes, please.
Mr. President, Lebanon.
Good.
I would like to ask you a question about the Middle East regarding
Sure.
you said that Hezbollah in Lebanon is not in a good position. And Lebanon now is the final unresolved after Gaza and Syria. Given your assessment, guys, what do you...
I can't even hear what the person is saying. He's mumbling and babbling in his microphone. I don't know what he's talking about. Trump can hear it because he's right near him. Let's just continue.
say for the race today is in the independent
Yeah.
state in Lebanon? And what is your next move to push toward disarmament? The disarmament
Sure. Well, we are pushing for total disarmament of Hamas and, frankly, everybody else. And we actually have peace in the Middle East. As you know, the King of Saudi Arabia just left yesterday. We had some great meetings, and he's made a contribution toward the United States of more than $1 trillion. We have now over $20 trillion coming in. No country has ever had anything like that, not even close.
Well, that's true. That's true. There's a lot of investment going on in this country. A lot of people from other countries is investing in America, how we was investing in other countries. Proportionally of the money is coming right back to the United States. So let's continue.
If you go to 2 trillion or 1 trillion, it's a lot. We have 20 or 21 trillion dollars. I think that Hezbollah has been a problem in Lebanon, big problem. We're working with Lebanon. We're working with everybody in the Middle East. That's another thing I think we have in common. We want to see peace in the Middle East, and we actually have now, for the first time, peace in the Middle East after 3,000 years. And now we're going to refine it, and I think you're going to see some very positive things happen.
There is a potential to invite the Lebanese president.
Oh, sure. Oh, I would do that, absolutely. And if the mayor would like to be here for that meeting, because I know he feels very strongly. I think you feel very, very strongly about peace in the Middle East. I think
We desperately want it, and that's something that I shared with the president, that when I spoke to New Yorkers who had voted for the president last November on Hillside Avenue and Fordham Road, I asked them why. I heard again and again two major reasons. One was that they wanted an end to forever wars. They wanted an end to the taxpayer dollars we had funding violations of human rights, and they wanted to address the cost of living crisis. And I appreciated the chance to discuss both of those things.
he said a lot of my voters actually voted for him, and
One in 10.
And I'm okay with that. I'll do that. I'll sign it. Give it to me. I'll sign it in a minute. That's pretty good.
Mr. President.
I mean, if that's true, that many of the Trump supporters supported this young man, I mean, what could I say? This is what he's saying, and Trump is having a conversation. It's just a conversation, y'all. Remember, this is a conversation. We're just listening to this in real time. Let's go.
Yeah, please.
You threatened to send federal troops to New York City. You both have differences when it comes to ICE agents in New York City. Mr. Mamdani, you called ICE a rogue government entity. I wonder how you reconcile your differences on both of those issues.
I think we're going to work them out, and I think that if we have known murderers and known drug dealers and some very bad people, we want to get them out. And the mayor wants to have peace. We discussed this at great length, actually, maybe more than anything else. He wants to have a safe New York. Ultimately, a safe New York is going to be a great New York. If it's not safe, no matter how well we do with pricing and with anything else, we can talk about anything you want. If you don't have safe streets, it's not going to be a success. So
And that's true what Trump is saying. That's true what Trump is saying. Now, it remains to be seen what happens, what transpires. Time will tell. However, that's true what Trump is saying. Let's go.
We're going to work together. We're going to make sure that if there are horrible people there, we want to get them out. I think he wants to get them out, maybe more than I do. So we'll work together. We discussed it at great length. Yes, please.
Yeah, two questions, if I may. One for you, Mr. President.
Now, you did hear Trump did say that Mamdani wants to get these people out more than Trump do. Now, people are going to take that as Trump want criminals to be in New York. That's not to be the case. He's just looking at it. The reason why he believes Mamdani wants it more is he's trying to get a reaction how Mamdani is going to respond to that. You got to think about how Trump moves. Trump does not want sin in America in particular, let alone in the city he grew up with. However, does Mamdani wants it more to happen? That will be the turning point. Let's go.
We can see in a second, but first of all, to the mayor-elect. You're both from different parts of the political spectrum. You're both populists, though, and I just wondered to what extent the president's campaign style, his techniques, his social media use inspired any part of your campaign.
Well, I actually told the president that, so much of the focus of our campaign has been on the cost of living crisis. And when we asked those New Yorkers who had voted for the president, when we saw an increase in his numbers in New York City, that came back to the same issue: cost of living, cost of living, cost of living. And they spoke about the cost of groceries, the cost of rent, the cost of Con Ed, the cost of childcare. And too often politicians are looking to lecture to New Yorkers what they should care about as opposed to listen. And when we spoke to those voters who voted for President Trump, we heard them speak about cost of living. We focus on that same cost of living, and that's where I am really looking forward to delivering for New Yorkers in partnership with the president on the affordability agenda.
Time will tell. Just know it's going to take time. This does not happen overnight. That's why we got to give it a few months to see what it leads to. All right, let's continue.
And I think we have to work a little bit. We talked about Con Edison. We have to work a little bit on getting the prices because, we've gotten fuel prices way down, but it hasn't shown up in Con Edison. And we're going to have to talk to them. if we're sending them fuel at a much lower price than it was a year ago, which is true, we have to get Con Edison to start lowering the rates.
Absolutely.
And if I may, last week you told me you were pushing ahead with your plans.
Con Edison has his own way of making money, Let's continue.
BBC for $5 billion. You're going to speak to Prime Minister Starmer as well. Is there any progress or any updates on those issues?
Well, we get along very well with the Prime Minister. We made a deal with UK. I like him. He's a fine person. And, you know, I think they have some big energy problems. You know, they've got windmills all over the place. They're going to have to start using other methods because their energy is out of control. Talking about in the UK, it's out of control. And he's got that problem. He's got a big immigration problem, as you know, and he's got a big energy problem. And we talk about it. He's a good man. Prime Minister's a good man.
You had a chance to speak this week.
I haven't spoken this week.
Have you spoken to President Zelensky?
Who?
President Zelensky about your plan?
I've spoken with their people. We have a plan. It's horrible what's happening. It's a war that should have never happened. It would have never happened if I was president, and it's a shame. And I thought they should have acted quicker. But it's a cold winter, and a lot of the you talk about utilities, but a lot of the big energy-producing plants have been under attack, to put it mildly, to put it nicely.
So they're talking about different scenarios that's going on in the UK, different scenarios that's going on in other particular places. So they're just talking about different topics. All right, let's go.
Yeah, we have a way of getting peace, or we think we have a way of getting peace. He's going to have to approve it. Just so sad, so many people. You know, last month they lost 25,000 soldiers. This is something, we haven't seen anything like this since the Second World War. And they're averaging 6,000 or 7,000 a week between the two of them, dead soldiers. And it goes on. And I think they're getting reasonably close, but I don't want to predict. I would have said that would have been one of my early ones. I did 8 peace deals of countries, including in India, Pakistan. You could even go, in fact, they're coming here in a week or two, go to the Congo and Rwanda. That was 10 million people dead, and we worked something out on that. But so many. And the one I thought would have been, for me, because I have a very good relationship with President Putin, I thought that would have been maybe quicker. But it does take 2 to tango. And now you just see all the death. And, you know, it doesn't affect us other than the fact that we don't want to see all those people that really, it's on the other side of the ocean. It's a war that should have never happened. It did happen. I blame the person also sitting right behind this desk. This is a war that should have never happened, and it wouldn't have happened if I were president. But we're trying to save a lot of lives. They're losing 25, think of that, 25,000 lives over the last short period of time.
Yeah, that's a big situation that's going on over there. You know, big situation. All right, let's continue.
That's Ukrainian and Russian, and it's a shame.
What happened this president? I want to ask the mayor-elect about a House resolution just passed overwhelmingly to condemn socialism, including with 86 Democrats, all of House Dem leadership, and the minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries, despite his endorsement of you. What's your reaction to that?
I have to be honest with you, I focused very little on resolutions, frankly. I've been focusing...
Condemn socialism.
I understand. I think the focus is on the work at hand. I can tell you I am someone who is a democratic socialist. I've been very open about that. And I know there might be differences about ideology, but the place of agreement is the work that needs to be done to make New York City affordable. That's what I look forward to.
And I want to clarify your answer to Stephen Nelson. He asked about your comment calling the president a fascist. And your answer was, both President Trump and I have been clear about our positions and our views. Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay. You can just say yes.
Okay.
Okay. It's easier.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask you also about this Ukraine plan.
Yeah.
President Zelensky said today that his country would risk either giving up a partner or giving up its dignity. There's been criticism that this deal...
You mean he doesn't like it?
It's unclear. He was sort of
Well,
pretending...
he'll have to like it, and if he doesn't like it, then, you know, they should just keep fighting, I guess, you
The
know.
suggestion that you made, though, was that if he doesn't accept it, that the U.S. would pull back its support for Ukraine. Is that
Well, at some
accurate?
point, he's going to have to accept something. You know, he hasn't accepted. You remember right in the Oval Office not so long ago, I said, you don't have the cards. Don't forget, I inherited this war. I would have never, this war never would have happened. I inherited this war. And I thought he should have made a deal a year ago, 2 years ago. The ultimate deal would have been if it never started. That would have been a good deal. That could have been done. He didn't have the right president.
So basically, with that situation, it all boils down to if he doesn't want to make a deal with the other particular people, they on their own eventually, and that's what it is. Let's continue.
Mr. President, the cost of living is something that you and Mr. Mamdani seem to agree on.
Right.
Democrats have run New York City for a long time, Mr. Mamdani. Do you see Democrat policy specifically as being a problem? And I'd like that.
Good question. I like that question. Do you see the Ibarasi policies being a problem since you're talking about this affordable situation? Let's see what he says.
A question that both of you can answer in New York City.
Look, I think that there are many things in our city where we have to own the responsibility of it, things that existed long. The president was the president, and those are also part of the message of our campaign was to take on a broken politics of the past. And I ran against a number of candidates who represented different versions of that past. And what we found time and again is that working people were left behind in the politics of our city. And what we're looking to do is put those people right back at the heart of our politics so that we don't have a situation where we're in the wealthiest city in the history of the world, and yet 1 in 5 can't even afford $2.90 for a Metro card.
Mr. President,
You know, we
Whoa, 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 whoa. 1 in 5 cannot afford a $2.90 Metro card. Look, if he taxed the wealth 2% more, there's going to be a lot of businesses eventually leaving New York City. You're already getting 50%. You're getting half of what these people make. Additional 52%? Come on now. Come on, man. Let's go.
had some interesting conversation, and some of his ideas really are the same ideas that I have. But a big thing on cost, you know, the new word is affordability. Another word is just groceries. You know, it's sort of an old-fashioned word, but it's very accurate. And they're coming down high. They were, you know, we had, both of us, we had the highest inflation in the history of our country the last 4 years under the Biden administration. And we've got inflation down now to a normal number. It's going to go even a little bit lower than that. Katie, do you have something in a bit?
Mr. President, thank you so much. Mr. Mamdani often talks about New York City being covered by international law, that they will follow international law. Doesn't often talk about the U.S. Constitution. What is your response to that?
Well, I don't know what you're referring to in terms of it could be covered by international law, local law. It's covered by a lot of laws, but it's covered by U.S. law. Are you referring to anything in particular?
He just says that they're a city that endorses and enforces international law. Is that at odds with?
No, I don't know. Would you want to? Do you want to respond to
Yeah,
that?
I think what I've shared with the president is our desire to not only follow the laws of our own city, laws that protect New Yorkers, but also a desire for consistency in our politics across the board. And that's something that we've talked about and something that I know many New Yorkers want. We discussed ICE and New York City, and I spoke about how the laws that we have in New York City allow for New York City government to speak to the federal administration for about 170 serious crimes. The concerns that many New Yorkers have are around the enforcement of immigration laws on New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs, and most recently we're talking about a mother and her 2 children, how this has very little to do with what that is.
What we did is we discussed crime more than ICE per se. We discussed crime, and he doesn't want to see crime, and I don't want to see crime, and I have very little doubt that we're not going to get along on that issue. He wants to, and he said some things that were very interesting as to housing construction, and he wants to see houses go up. He wants to see a lot of houses created, a lot of apartments built, etc. And you know, we actually people would be shocked, but I want to see the same thing. Please.
Now, all I can tell you is this. That will be great to see. The thing, though, is we got to see what he's going to do with the rich, because a lot of rich people are moving to Miami. They're moving to Palm Bay. They're moving to Dallas. They're moving to Raleigh, Charlotte. They're buying some property in Georgia. Depending on who you talk to, they are not taking the risk with this guy. So I'm not saying these people moving right away. They're going to give it a few months to see where it goes, and then we could go from there. We could go from there.
Jack?
Mr. President, I want to know one of the policies as well that Mayor-elect Mamdani talked a number of times about on the campaign was shifting the tax burden for property taxes from what he called minority communities to white-based communities and putting more taxes on white people. I also noticed that in your acceptance speech you didn't mention anything about America or Christians or white people in general, and so I didn't know if that was one of the policies that you guys had spoken about.
We focused on affordability. We focused on the cost of living crisis. What I will say is that I am very much interested in property tax reform, because what we see right now in New York City is a system that is so inequitable that it can't even stand up in court. And the president and I spoke about the importance of not only building more housing, but also making sure that regulation of housing is something that is manageable to actually get through and not the cause of yet another weight that we see in our
To be
city.
clear, you're continuing this idea of race-based property taxes.
No, to be very clear,
That's what you said.
no, the use of the term was a description of neighborhoods, not a description of intent.
So you intend to tax the whiter neighborhoods more?
No, we intend to create a fair property tax system because we want a New York City that is not only fair and equitable, but also one that every New Yorker can afford.
Please, God.
Mr. Mamdani, anti-Israel protesters just targeted a synagogue in New York. Are you concerned about Jewish New Yorkers feeling welcome and safe in the city? And President Trump, you threatened to cut off federal funding to New York City. What policies would prompt you to do that? Would that be city-run grocery stores? Would it be something else?
Well, I think if we didn't get along, whether it's cut off or just make it a little bit difficult or not give as much, we want to see, I use the term, we don't want good money going after bad. And we don't want that to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I did say that, subject to what policies are being set. We had a meeting today that actually surprised me. He wants to see no crime. He wants to see housing being built. He wants to see rents coming down, all things that I agree with. Now, we may disagree how we get there. The rent coming down, I think.
And see, in order for these things to happen, let me explain something to y'all. In order for these things to happen, it doesn't happen in one day. You have to make some decisions to compete. It just seemed like to me that the young people, and I get it, they want things differently. Mind you, you have to learn how to use your hands. You have to learn how to use your tools. You have to learn how to adapt. You have to make things, build things. Nobody is going to start building for you. You have to build for yourself. And it seemed like Mamdani knows that you cannot tax the rich. You cannot tax them more, because that's not going to bring opportunities for people to make money, people to grow. If they want to, work for the man, work for the woman that's in charge, you have to give people reasons to stay. There's a lot of people that love New York. There's a lot of people that did not want us to leave New York City. It's because the way they disrespect the man, the woman in the family structure. And you can't even defend those you love because the criminals have more say. Now, if this guy does what he promises and clean up the streets, then yeah, New York eventually will be back in its prime. The thing though is every place goes through it. And now New York City and Chicago and LA is going through its crisis. Once upon a time while I'm at in Orlando, it was wild and crazy back in the 90s, early 2000s. Now it's profitable. Same thing with Miami. Same thing with Jacksonville. Same thing with Tampa for the most part. Everybody goes through it. You have to clean out the evil. And once you clean out the evil, as years, days, months go on, you're going to see the promise of better days ahead. Even Trump knows it's going to take time. Even Trump knows that. Let's go.
One of the things I really gleaned very much today, he'd like to see him come down, ideally by building a lot of additional housing.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate way. He agrees with that, and so do I. But if I read the newspapers and the stories, I don't hear that. But I heard him say it today, and I think that's a very positive step. No, I don't expect. I expect to be helping him, not hurting him. A big help, because I want New York City to be great. Look, I love New York City. It's where I come from. I spent a lot of years there. Now I'm right here. We took a big setback with the mayor that we had, Dave de Blasio. I thought it was a tremendous setback for the city. I think this mayor can do some things that are going to be really great.
Mr. President,
Okay, how about you? Go ahead, please.
You're a billionaire. You have a different address nowadays than you used to, but you used to call New York City home. Would you feel comfortable living in New York City under a Mamdani administration?
Yeah, I would. I really would. Especially after the meeting. Absolutely.
What makes you comfortable?
We agree on a lot more than I would have thought. I think I want him to do a great job, and we'll help him do a great job. You know, he may have different views, but in many ways, we were discussing when Bernie Sanders was out of the race, I picked up a lot of his votes, and people had no idea because he was strong on not getting ripped off in trade and lots of the things that I've practiced and been very successful on. Tariffs, a lot of things. Bernie Sanders and I agreed on much more than people thought. And when he was put out of the race, I think quite unfairly, if you want to know the truth, many of the Bernie Sanders voters voted for me. And I felt very comfortable, frankly, in seeing that and saying that. And, it just turned out to be a statistical truth. But, no, I feel very comfortable. I would feel very, very comfortable being in New York, and I think much more so after the meeting. Yes, please.
Trump is trolling. Look, Trump is trolling, y'all. That one, I got to say, Trump is trolling Mamdani on that one. Listen, I could tell when Trump is serious and when he's trolling Mamdani on that one. I'm not gonna lie. Honestly, in all seriousness, Trump is trolling him on that, y'all. We gotta admit that Trump is trolling him on that. He said he don't mind living in New York under him. Now, it's interesting he talks about Bernie Sanders. You know what I'm saying? And basically, yeah, Bernie Sanders I remember that when Bernie Sanders was, in the 2016 primary. So Trump, he's smart enough to know his opponent, and he knows how to leverage off his opponents. You got to give him that. Yo, this dude, Trump, is so clever, y'all. He leveraging off of this. Look, at the end of the day, business is business. You're going to be doing business with people you may not like, you can't stand. It benefits Trump in the long haul because you got the leftists upset with him, and you got the right who's saying why he's talking to him. Trump is a genius. He's a G. In business, you have to learn your opponent. You know what I'm saying? So I get what he's doing. That's why I'm laughing. It's funny because you got to let your opponent get just enough comfortable to think they have the upper hand. And the minute they make a mistake, boom, got him or got her. You know, hey, and one thing that's true what Trump say, you never know. He might turn out to be a good mayor. It might be that we might have to eat some crow. He might turn out to be a good mayor. Maybe the Most High has something for him to be a great mayor. I'm not saying he's Giuliani. Yeah, he's new, like Trump was new to politician. The thing, though, is that Trump already was a businessman. So it was not too difficult for him to do this presidency thing. Now, Mamdani don't have no track record of running anything. He was just a rapper hanging out in the streets. So I could see the people in the streets could regulate with him. At the same time, time will tell. Time will tell. Let's go.
Question for you, but a very quick one for the mayor. Why did you fly here? Aren't trains greener?
I will use every form of transit, and I want to make sure that they're all affordable in New York City, and that's why making buses fast and free is a centerpiece of our campaign.
There is a bus that goes.
How are you going to make buses faster there? Now he's talking. See, he's not. His mind is not there 100%. You cannot make buses faster. Now, New York City traffic was way better back in the days when I was coming up, especially in the early 2000s and 90s. Let me say hello to some people in the chat. I have a mod in the building. Mrs. Eldridge, how you doing today? Tell Mr. Eldridge I say hello. I see we got Keystone, a.k.a. Keystone Tech, 309 Technology in the building. We have Mitch in the building, and we got other folks watching and tuning in. Make sure you double tap the like button on your way in. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. Let's reach the goal today on this 21st of 2025. Let's reach the goal of 2,300 subscribers. We had about a good 23 to maybe 30 people in the building. It's probably more than that. If you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel. If you want to support, hey, it's up to you. Other than that, let's continue to see what happens here.
No, but if he flew, that's a lot quicker too. He's working very hard. For him to be, that's a very long drive. I'll stick up for you. The plane takes you 30 minutes and driving takes a long time.
Exactly. The plane takes you 30 minutes and the bus and the train will take you longer. Like, dude, listen. Anybody that's been to New York City will tell you traffic is crazy. From stop to stop every 5 to 6 minutes, 5 to 6, 7 minutes from light to light to light to light to light to light. It takes you a long time. I could go to Jacksonville and back before somebody goes from Brooklyn to Staten Island and from Staten Island back to Brooklyn. I will beat the person. And Jacksonville is further than Staten Island to Brooklyn. So, okay, that's great to hear, Mrs. Eldridge. That's great to hear. All right, let's continue.
I wonder if you could clear up some confusion around a Washington Post report. There was this explosive report that the Coast Guard is no longer going to characterize swastikas and use as hate symbols. DHS called that a lie and fake news. Can you clear up?
I don't know anything about it. When was this written?
I think yesterday.
Well, look, the Coast Guard's an incredible group of people. I know them very well. We just ordered a lot of new Coast Guard cutters. Beautiful, the most magnificent ship. They look like yachts with lots of guns on them. So I don't know. I haven't seen any report like that, but certainly we want them to remain a great force, and they are.
And we did a piece in all the 9 months around the world. I would like to ask Mr. Mamdani, you've accused the U.S. government of committing genocide in Gaza while President Trump was working on peace. Why that?
I've spoken about the Israeli government committing genocide, and I've spoken about our government funding it. And I shared with the president in our meeting about the concern that many New Yorkers have of wanting their tax dollars to go towards the benefit of New Yorkers and their ability to afford basic dignity. And what we see right now is we're in the 9th consecutive year of more than 100,000 school children being homeless in our city. And there's a desperate need not only for the following of human rights, but also the following through on the promise.
I mean, yeah, there's people are one payment away from being in the streets, and especially those who have children. It's very difficult because, if you don't have one or the other parent in the household, it's a lot of women without no man in the house, or the man without no woman in the house. And you just can't have your children just with anybody, especially in this day of time. If the child is under 5 and they can't talk, he can't speak, for the most part, like, something is wrong with a child under 5 years old. My point is that it can't talk, yet it will give you, a WAN or some type of signal so something ain't right. At the same time, they have to come up with better solutions for the people to want to stay there. People love New York City because it's convenient. At the same time, conveniency, being stressed out, not knowing if you're going to get the next meal, the next dollar, the next cent, that's gonna make you not think clearly. And especially you got a family, you got to have a strong mental capacity to stay in a place like that. Let's continue.
Promises we've made New Yorkers, and I appreciated the meeting we had and the work that we can do.
Do you agree that President Trump did do a peace and work hard to make the peace? Because he worked hard to do the peace in the Middle East and everywhere. Do you agree with that?
I appreciate all efforts towards peace, and I shared with President Trump that when I spoke to Trump voters on Hillside Avenue, including one of whom was a pharmacist that spoke about how President Trump's father actually went to that pharmacy not too far from Jamaica Estates, that people were tired of seeing our tax dollars fund endless wars. And I also believe that we have to follow through on the international human rights, and I know that still today those are being violated, and that continues to be work that has to be done no matter where we're speaking of.
Mr.
Thank you,
President.
Mr. President. Do you view the mayor-elect as the true leader of the Democrat Party? And do you think Leader Schumer and Leader Jeffries, have to follow his lead?
Well, look, I hope they have great leaders. This is a man that right now I think is focused on New York City. I really think he has a chance to do a great job. We're going to help him, but I really think he has a chance to do a great job. But I'll let you answer that. Do you consider yourself the leader of the Democrats? I think it's...
Yo, they trolling him. Oh, man. Yo, you got to laugh, man. Man, this is funny, man. They trolling the ish out of him. Even the people at the news media is getting the kick out of this. Let's go.
More appropriate for him?
I consider myself the next mayor of New York City, and I keep my horizons firmly on New York City, and I appreciate the meeting which focused again on the 5 boroughs and whether New Yorkers could afford to live there.
By the way, being the mayor of New York City is a big deal.
Absolutely.
I always said, one of the things I would love to be someday is the mayor of New York City. Being the mayor of New York, and especially now, because I think you're at really a turning point, one way or the other. It could go great, or it can go in a different direction. And I think you really have a chance to make it great. I appreciate what you're saying.
Mr. President, you say you love New York City. Mr. Mamdani, does New York City love President Trump?
New York City loves a future that is affordable. And I can tell you that there were more New Yorkers who voted for President Trump in the most recent presidential election because of that focus on cost of living. And I'm looking forward to working together to deliver on that affordability agenda.
I got a lot of votes. One more. Go ahead. 1 or 2 more. Go ahead. I tell you, the press has eaten this thing up. I've had a lot of meetings with the heads of major countries. Nobody cared. This meeting that you people have gone crazy. Outside you have hundreds of people waiting. This is just a small little group.
It's interesting because this is interesting. Trump, this is good for you. This is good for me to talk about it, other content creators to talk about it. Everybody's pretty much making, their swing on this. I'm just saying, I'm just laughing. This is funny. Sometimes you need, to laugh about this stuff. With everything going on, it's an odd couple. It's an odd couple meeting type of situation. Yo, man, this is this gives Trump more. Believe it or not, this gives Trump more people to talk about him. Let's go.
For some reason, the press has found this to be a very interesting meeting. The biggest people in the world, they come over from countries nobody cares, but they did care about this meeting, and it was a great meeting. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. President, I was going to ask you exactly that. Why do you think there's so much more, so much excitement around this than in some form?
Because I think he's different. All right, I think he's different, and that can be in a very positive way. But I think he's different than, your typical guy runs, wins, becomes mayor maybe, and nothing exciting. Because he has a chance to really do something great for New York. New York is at a very critical point, and he does need the help of the federal government to really succeed. And we're going to be helping him, but he's different than your average candidate. Hey, he came out of nowhere. I said he has a great campaign manager standing over there. He came out of nowhere. Would you start off at 1 or 2? And then I watched. I said, who is this guy? He was at 1, then he was at 3, then he was at 5, then he was at 9. Then he went up to 17. I said, that's getting a little bit interesting, right? And then all of a sudden he wins a primary that nobody expected he was going to win. It's a great tribute. I mean, it's an amazing.
So that means he got the right type of people around him. He got the type of manager that knows the ins and outs of New York, know how to get him to speak certain pecans, and we'll see. We'll see, man. This is gonna be interesting.
Thing that he did.
And I'll just add one thing to what the president said. Is one thing I also appreciated is in our meeting to appreciate a portrait of FDR and the incredible work that was done with the New Deal, and also in thinking about what it can look like when the federal government and New York City government work together to deliver on affordability. It can be transformative.
We have a great portrait of FDR that I found in the vaults that was missing for years. I found it, and I put it up. He's a Democrat, to the best of my knowledge. He's a Democrat. And when the mayor saw that portrait, he said, "Sir, do you mind if I have a picture taken by that portrait?" It's an amazing portrait. I hope the picture comes out good. But it's an amazing portrait in the cabinet room. So he's a big fan of the New Deal, I guess, and of FDR. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President, you said that you both spoke about crime.
Yeah.
There are many police officers set to come off the rolls at the end of this year in New York City. Are you going to allow those police to be replaced with police officers, actual cops? And are you
I'm laughing because it's like they're asking these questions. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Is he going to replace the NYPD with the mayor of Chicago? Let's find out.
going to require that happens? Will there be some consequences?
Well, I hope it happens, but again, that's going to be ultimately the mayor's decision.
Is that I look forward to delivering public safety with the NYPD, and I've said over the course of our campaign that we have the number of police officers today. They are the ones that's budgeted about 35,000 headcount. And I think the key thing is that we have to make it easier for police to focus on police work, not ask them to respond to 200,000 mental health calls a year.
So is that a reduction from what you're at right now? Are you committing to maintaining the same level of cops?
I've committed over the course of the campaign to maintain the 35,000. That's the headcount that we had through the campaign.
And not replace them with caseworkers, social workers?
No, I've said that's the headcount that we want. What we need to do is make sure they can focus on serious crime.
And he just retained a great police commissioner, I believe, right?
Yes, we did, Commissioner.
If the newspapers are correct.
That one they're correct about.
He retained, I think, somebody that is she's a good friend of some of the people in my family, of Ivanka, and they say she's really good, really competent, and he just retained her, so that's a good sign.
The one that used to work for the mayor, Adams. So that means that she's going to extend her stay. There's a lot of people say she does good. She's a good police chief. So if his family, his daughter and family is saying that she's good, she's not, loopy-loo, jiffy-loo like this, then hey, we'll see. We're going to see who his team is.
Are there still topics that you see this disagreeing on in the future, and do you think you'll have more meetings like this?
there will be topics that we disagree on. I think we'll probably come to a conclusion, and ultimately, he'll convince me, or I'll convince him. It's for the good of New York. Ultimately, it's for the good of New York. I don't care about affiliations or parties or anything else. I want to see if this city could be unbelievable. If he could be a spectacular success, I'd be very happy.
Do you think you guys will meet more in the future?
Excuse me?
Do you think you'll meet again in the future? Throughout the administration?
I think we will. Yeah. I think we will. I hope we do. I enjoyed the meeting. We had a great meeting. Please.
Mr. President, Republican Elise Stefanik has campaigned multiple times by calling Zohar Mamdani a jihadist. Do you think you're standing next to a jihadist right now in the Oval Office?
No, I don't. But she's out there campaigning, and you say things sometimes in a campaign.
Isn't that sort of
She's a very capable person,
isn't
but
that a kind of
you really have to ask her about that. But I don't particularly. I think I met with I met with a man who's a very rational person. I met with a man who really wants to see New York be great again. And I can say again, because New York was great. When I came down to Washington initially, the city was so hot. It was doing great. We were having some telltale signs of problems. We had a mayor that was not doing a great job, but still, it was moving along. And it went bad. It really went, pretty bad. And I think it's been at lower points, but it went pretty bad. I think he can bring it back. Now, the question is, will he bring it back all the way? Will he bring it back greater than ever before, which is, I guarantee, that's his wish. I think he wants to make it greater than ever before.
He wants it to make it greater than ever before. Now, Trump knows that, the South is where it's at. Trump knows that, right? At the same time, he wants to see America as a whole great. The question is he going to be doing the Johnson thing? Is he going to be doing the thing that the woman is doing in Seattle, the mayor, the incompetent mayor in Los Angeles? These are the things you have to ask.
And if he can, we'll be out there cheering. I'll be cheering for him. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you
Thank you very much.
Oh, no, I care very deeply about Jewish safety, and I look forward to rooting out anti-Semitism across the 5 boroughs and protecting Jewish New Yorkers and every New Yorker who calls the city home.
Thank you, Hillary. Appreciate you. Hillary, you there? All right, thank you. Good question.
Easy. You.
All right, so that's pretty much it about that. I wonder what Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer and them got to say. I wonder what they got to say. All right. I'm going to be brief on this residency in Florida. Now, I've been a residency officially of Florida since June 13th, and we are in November 21st. So July, August, September, October, November, 5 months in. 5 months and 8 days since I've been a Floridian resident, and I could tell you that it's been very interesting. It's been very, very interesting. I would not have ever thought that I would remove my New York residency and become officially a Floridian residency. And, It's very, very interesting, y'all. I could tell you this, like any of you plan on moving here, it's not like in New York where you could go to the biggest bagel store around the corner. You could do this, you could do that. It's a drive. It's a drive. It's a drive to go out, have a good time. It's a drive to go to this place, that place. The buses stop at a certain time, and it runs every hour. And yeah, these are the things you have to think about if you're coming down here. You got to have your transportation thing on point. You gotta move correctly. You know what I'm saying? It's not easy getting a residency here because you got to have all your paperwork together. You got to everything's got to be situated. Everything's got to be on point. Can't be no misconstrued because they're very strict getting your especially getting your car registered here and everything. You know, certain policies you got to do with the mailing and all that. It's a big process. It takes time. You don't run a rush. You want to make sure that. No, I've been had a car. What are you talking about? You coming in here trolling? I've been had a vehicle. I don't know what you're talking about. I've been had a vehicle. You coming in here on demon time? I'm just gonna annoy. I'm gonna annoy you trolls. I gotta stop giving you the time of day because you're coming in here with trying to distract. Anyway, you just gotta have certain things together. Do what you gotta do. You know what I'm saying? Enjoy life, man. And shout out to my peoples in New York City and Connecticut and all the other places out there. Hold it down, do your thing, have your hair on a swivel. You know what I'm saying? Do your thing. So I believe Keystone say he wants to come on. Keystone, you say you want to come on? Keystone wants to come on. Now, Keystone, let me see. Let me send it to you on the email. I'm going to send it to you on the email. Hold on one second. Keystone wants to come on. Let me see what he wants to ask me. Give me a second, y'all. Let me send this to my email. Let me send this to Keystone. Keystone, I'm about to send it to you right now. Let me do it like this. Let me go to my phone so that I could do it. Okay. It is sent to you. Check your email and I send it to you. Robert, what's going on, Robert? All right, it's sent to you. What's going on with you, man? The information is sent to you. All right. What's going on, Keystone?
Hey, not much, my man. How you doing tonight? And tonight, yeah, I take it anyway. Yeah, yeah, just doing some work. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just want to make sure I don't show any personal business. You good now?
Yeah, and I had to go to another room. Yeah,
Okay,
that they were talking outside. Yes, I think they had a wonderful and great meet. To be honest with you, you know what I'm saying. I think he stays under tutelage of Trump and don't let the Liberace's distract them. And I think those two work together. I think it'll be a good. I think it'll be a good transition. No time for New York. I think he can actually come back. I think he had the right team, the right guy, and they agree on a lot of things. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to go behind the scenes and talk to people and see what the real is. You can't go by what the media say and everybody say, and and fall into the trap of being scared and stuff by the media. You know, when men to men talk to each other and strong men talk, it comes out to a better solution.
so this is my question to you. I talked about how every state, every place goes through its crisis. It's just what it is.
Right.
So, do you believe that this guy is capable of bringing New York back to its glory? Because I've been on record of saying if it does, it's going to take about 10 to 15 years. Just like the time in Florida, Florida was not a place you want to be, a place you want to do business in the 90s, early 2000s. I would say like around 2015 to 2017, Florida started to do what other states are starting to do right now, like Texas, like North Carolina, Georgia. It's not a place now you want to visit. People are actually moving here. Businesses is thriving. So, do you think this young man, because he claims he got a lot of Trump supporters, there's some things I could see in him that he could do that is
I
promising.
could
At the same time, we're talking about the people in New York City.
see the people
Do
gotta
the
have the
people?
patience.
This is the thing. Do the people in New York City not only have the patience? Because I agree with that. Do you think the people in New York City have not only the patience, willing to work together? Because at the end of the day, in order for them to be at its greatest, you have to put your differences to the side in order for it to work.
I don't know about the people in New York. Certain ones will be able to work together, but with the other side of things, nah, you know what I mean? Some of them get too stubborn, too hard headed, you know what I mean? When something don't go their way, then they take it out on everybody else. Same thing back here in Pennsylvania. It took time for our mayor to catch up to the crime here and everything else, and she finally caught up. Her and that new police commissioner. They went through the rebel. Philadelphia went through its rebel stage in the beginning of Mayor Parker. Now they capitalized on it. We had many drug busters, and you had a big drugs at Waymont Street gang. I drug did a lot of damage to the drug selling in Philadelphia.
Now, let me ask you this. Remember, you took me to Kensington. Now, is Kensington cleaned up? What's going on in Kensington? I know you say you don't be on that side of Philadelphia anymore. Is it true that Kensington got cleaned up?
It got cleaned up. It's still few remnants out there and all that. You know what I mean? You had certain areas that are more cleaner now. You had some areas that are still bad, but they had put police cameras up there around like Allegheny and Kensington, and had the blue, red, and light police cameras around there. So they try to keep the area clean, and you don't see the crowds of people sitting out there more. Or some of them are just going into like alleyways, train tracks, and all that and stuff. You know what I mean? So some areas are cleaned up, not all of it, but it is slowing down there. But you have remnants. That's about it. And they're going. And I think another drug bust is going to be coming soon. Is going to really wipe it out.
Now, my question to you, you was in Georgia previously. What goes through your mind, traveling to the South and going back to the North? What have you learned about yourself and adapting, being that it was a long time ago, you was in Atlanta and you finally went back down there? What did you learn about yourself?
What I learned about myself is when you go to the South, adapt to the situations down there. They're not going to reason like they do up north. They will not reason. And some of the laws there, like some stuff you get away with up north, you think you can get away with down there, they're not gonna let you get away with it at all. You know? They're gonna and down there, they don't care where you're from. They're just gonna step on your toes and do what needs to be done. And that's it. It doesn't matter you're on the north side of Atlanta or on the south side of Atlanta. You know what I mean? And when you down there and you live in the north side, do not go down to the south side of Atlanta. You have no business going down. There's a lot of schemes, a lot of drugs, a lot of prostitution, and there's a lot of deadly stuff going on in those areas on the south side of Atlanta. If you're in the north side of Atlanta, where the rich people are, that's it. And here's the difference between Philly and Atlanta. Atlanta, you gotta have your entrepreneurship stuff going on. You gotta come down there. You gotta come down there, prepare as an entrepreneur, bring in jobs, bring in employment, have all your stuff and your money together. They're not gonna help you down there.
That's one thing that I will say when it comes to Florida, that you have to learn how to become your own governor of your house or place people and things, because you could make a lot of money if you move correctly down here. You could make a lot of money anywhere. The thing though is you could make a lot of serious money without restraints. Now,
Uh-huh.
you deal with people that's on some BS, you're gonna be doing some serious time.
Well, we
And
got one.
yeah,
Go right ahead and say we're going to say I'm going to tell you about what's been going on with my other thing down there and stuff that in Atlanta. We have two good guys down there that was able to make it happen down there for fair. We have this one guy who was a limousine driver. He was able to do it for himself, but he had the limousine experience and the license and everything. That's from Atlanta. And we hired the guy from the Bronx, New York, an African, and he's real good at producing and production and talking and everything and making things happen. You know what I mean? And doing videos and AI stuff down
okay.
in Atlanta. So those dudes have the entrepreneur mind, you know? It's not for the 9 to 5 mind. You want the 9 to 5 in Atlanta, you better move near Tennessee or near North and South Carolina, or you better move to North or South Carolina if you want that type of life.
Now, interesting. That's great to see that y'all are getting things licensed and you getting things known and you're putting it out there on the internet. Uh, you're marketing, because that's very important to pay
Yep.
people to market, because you got your LLC. You have certain tax brackets to cover insurance policy, because that's why we talked about before. You got to have insurance policy, because when I ran a valet business, the first thing I made sure is I had a super insurance policy to cover any damages, any injuries. You got to have injury. A lot of people don't know this, but when you run those
Yep.
type of services, you got to have injury prone service, taxes to cover. Listen, people don't overstand and understand. When you make a lot of money, it don't go to you. It goes to the people that work for you. You understand what I'm saying? And so you got to have these policies, and then you got to have policies for yourself, so you're not spending as much. It
Right.
takes 3 to 5 years to see money come in your hand.
Yes,
You
it
get what I'm
does.
saying? So that's
Yes,
why
it
when
does.
people get pissed off with the rich or people that starting their business, when I talk to these people, I have respect for them, because I know I had a business. It took 3 years, almost 3 years, to see money in my pocket. I had to pay over 20 workers. I had to make sure they was taken care of before I had to take
Hmm.
care of myself.
Exactly. See, one thing I learned too, take your time here in PA because we got to put out $50,000 to the parking authority down in South Philadelphia, which takes care of the whole state. We already got the insurance and everything, but that has to be taken care of first. We can't do the shortcuts that Atlanta do, because Pennsylvania is
Yep.
known to stick a pitchfork up your you know what if you don't go ahead and coordinate and give them that money first.
And
They will put
you
you
have
in.
to
They'll
cover
put
your
you under the
policy. You
jail.
have to cover. You have to cover your policy. You have to cover your name. And there's
Hmm.
certain things you don't want in your name, just in case somebody lie on you. See, this is a thing a lot of people don't know about business. There's in the gate community, they gate this community. That's called lie insurance. Look it up.
Uh-huh.
You could pay somebody a lot of money based on them lying on you to cover their
Yeah.
insurance. When the officer see this, me and my sheriff friends, we talk about it. How you know about this? I do my research. There's a thing called lie insurance. Look it up. There's a lie insurance
I'm
policy.
gonna have to look it
So
up
if
too.
if, if I was to ride in your share, I could lie on your company and get a lot of money because I know how to do it.
That's good to know, my man. It's very good to know.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
always gave wonderful.
Listen
You
to
always
this,
gave
man.
wonderful information, and definitely in the business I am. I'm definitely going to need it. What messed up with me and Uber, women lying on me, and women who had not got injured in my accidents that was my fault, or had sued me. I'm already in a lawsuit right now with that, and wasn't my fault.
Lie insurance. I told y'all, look, you got somebody saying in the chat, it's facts. Somebody said in the chat.
Right.
Somebody that Jay Wash got is he supports. Shout out to Jay Wash. He supports when he can. If anybody know I'm lying, they would have said, "Nah, this dude." I know why. Listen, there's a lot of things I know about. I don't say it because people are not only ready. It's just that a lot of people don't support those type of conversations. And so I can see why Anton Daniels and them, they all listen, all of these dudes, millionaires, they got live protected insurance policies. That's why they got a lot of phones. That's why they got a lot of cameras. That's why they got a lot of things to cover their tracks. Because people, man, is greedy out here. Bro, let me tell you something about the airport. Watch this. You're gonna be shocked.
My buddy told me about the airport. My buddy in Atlanta who worked for Delta, he will not go pick no women up so they don't hit him with that trafficking law.
Bro, if a person lie on you, you work in the airport, you could do some serious time.
Yeah.
FAA. You gotta protect yourself. When y'all got a business, fellas and ladies, protect your assets, protect your privacy. There's a thing called privacy loan apps. People could go into your privacy loan apps and say that you didn't give them their money. This stuff is deep, y'all. Y'all see, when you work a 9 to 5, you just getting a check. You don't know where this check is coming from.
Right.
You don't know how long it takes to make a check. Y'all didn't know that. You don't know how long it takes to get a check. You got to go through this processing agency, this insurance agency. You got to be on now Zoom calls. But back in the days, you have to be on one-on-one phone call. Then you have to call another person. You have to call another person. You have to record. You have to type.
Yep. My dad went through that.
Y'all just be even on the internet. There's levels to business on the internet, and Kevin Samuels showed the blueprint. There's levels to this, y'all.
And you gotta make sure you don't get on your team too. You gotta make sure you don't get no sick liberal on your team who can mess you up and use the law against you and have you sued, have you put behind bars for no reason, and not have your bases covered. You know what I mean? And try to get in your feelings to get a reaction so she has a case.
Yeah, listen, man. At the end of the day, I love women, and I talk with a lot of women. I'm just very careful,
There's
man. I
men
have
that
my
do this
own
too.
lady. Listen, hold on. I have my own lady. Shout out to her. And the truth of the matter is, what the type of business I am, I have to deal with different people, and I could tell you, man, a lot of you guys, you should listen to people like me that was once a P, man. Like I know how women move.
Yes.
I know a
I
woman's
agree.
body, move, shape, when she gonna knock you off, when she gonna take. Yo, I seen it all, y'all. Keystone saw me when we went to PA, did the P shake. I'm not into that stuff no more. Out of respect to the Philadelphia P, he knows the mayor. Do you know a lot of P's are influenced in the Republican and Democratic Party? That's a fact. The political party started off with them.
There's the history. There's the history right there. You just said it in a nutshell. You know? The talking, the way you got to do things and stuff like that, where they could talk in a woman's ear, make them feel like they're having sex, but they're not having sex. They're ready to drop it. No, go out there and make that money cash for me first. See, that's that pimp language, you know what I mean? A lot of y'all don't understand that pimp language and how to make these women don't know how to talk smooth and anything and lay low. Y'all go on here and see a butt and booty and a smile on Instagram and all that and go crazy. We didn't have none of that back in the day when we was out there being physical with women, being physical, and you could talk a woman, you could talk a lady's wife and a girl and a man's girlfriend, the panties right off of her. And I have done that in the past. It got me in trouble being on the chopping block for 20 years, and it was resolved about a couple to 3 years ago of me slowing down, just staying out of the way of certain people and all that, and just now just stay to myself, being in my business and everything, and taking my skills to the business world has been a benefit for me and being patient and know how to keep going whether people are against me or not.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that's what a lot of y'all cats don't understand. You know what I mean? That's all. I'm in this co-op and stuff like that. And I was able to get a lot of things done and keep it going. You had other people who were trying to tank it down. I hope keep it afloat. You know what I mean? With the stuff that I've been seeing on the street and the manipulations of folks, especially in California. And I had one of those ladies in California try to get me put behind bars. Being in business.
Mm-hmm.
He probably already looked in, already knows the story, and that got resolved, you know. So you have to be able to do business, separate your fun from your play. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to deal with ladies, do yourself a favor, get a phone that don't have too much technology in it or analog that's completely separate from everything, and deal with women on that. Everything business should be on the internet phone or on a smartphone. Don't deal with these women on smartphones nowadays.
Mm.
Especially this younger generation. Because you try to cover up your number, they're going to try to find out who your real number is. They have a way of getting your real number. They got the software to do it and find out who you really is. Trust me, they got the goony goons to back them up on this.
Yeah.
They got the pit, they got the guard dogs. Trust me.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
They got the dog dogs. And remember what I said in Red's Bad Guy 20 years ago about them, like the people running around getting paranoid about the COVID, and they're in the back laughing at
Don't
them,
say
making
that
comedy
word.
jokes and all
Don't
that.
say that word. Try to keep it PC. Come on now.
Okay. And remember I was talking about how the people was making fun of them, the rich and stuff. That stuff was really true, you know?
Mm-hmm.
What they were doing back in those times. See, that's my effing right there. And they've been doing this with this Epstein files. They've been my effing you with the Epstein file. I have the list. And Trump is not on that list.
Mm-hmm.
I have the actual list, and Trump is not on it. I'm going to send it to you later on.
Okay.
But you're going to see the names you're going to see on it.
It won't surprise me. Yeah.
And see, they've been mind screwing y'all. See, Democrat Party have a lot of y'all brains under control. You know what I mean? It's like putting an egg in a frying pan. And next thing you know, you're scrambling up. You don't know where to go to. Your mind's confused. Because they got y'all by the brains. They got y'all by a string. Like Frank Sinatra would say, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's what they got you. That's where they got y'all at. And the reason why I'm saying Trump could make this country great again, it can't be, but the minds of people had to get right and stop getting scrambled by these people. If the Democrats can get inside the brains of inside the brains of the people, America is never going to get great. And you ain't going to deserve everything that Donald Trump is trying to give you. If you let it happen, you don't deserve it. You don't deserve it.
Interesting.
They got a way of scrambling the minds of the people. I made videos about that. You know what I'm saying? They could go inside your brain, like they got silly putty. They could play with silly putty, make up a narrative. Everybody will jump on it.
Yeah, you have talked about that. I will say that you have talked about that. So listen, y'all, I'm gonna get on out of here. Keystone, you got any final words, man? Italian Mamba, good to see you. And Jay Wash, man, appreciate you coming through. And
Give this
Robert,
mayor.
good to see you,
I'm
man.
going to go right in.
Go ahead.
Give this mayor a chance with Trump. If they both work together and he stays away from the negative of the other Democrats, but stay around business-minded Republican people and independent, and he has a good team who will take the time to listen and they're sharing the same things and everything, I think that could change both parties, to be honest with you. I see some good coming out of this, to be honest with you. And Donald Trump just stays on top of him. I think he'll do a good job.
And one
And he
more
needs
thing before we go. What would you say to those who are planning on leaving, coming to the South, because see, people think I made it look so easy. No,
no, it's not easy.
it's a lot of changes, a lot of policies you have to read, you have to adjust, you have to adapt, and people make mistakes. You just don't want to make the repeat of mistakes because that will cost you quicker down here than it would up here. So what would you say to people that have this, I could do whatever I want, I want to
No,
speak. You can't
no,
speak down there because you're going to
no,
do
no, 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 no.
you're going to
My
speak,
but
you're going to do some time, and this, you could have a lot of money that doesn't neglect the fact of them potentially locking you behind up. What would you say to the people that's thinking about things being open 24/7, which is not the case? If you want to go out party, there's exceptions, yet it's not open all day. And pretty much, what do you have to say about this?
what I gotta say is focus on your business, get your entrepreneur stuff together before you come down there and work with that. Get with the right business community and people, and you can party with those people. Make sure your money, everything's on point. Don't be out there floating around doing unnecessary stuff and looking for stuff to get into, because once you make the mistake and get exposed, them cops are going to get you. In Atlanta, they got a jail and then they got a cell in there. They throw people in and people die in them cells in 3 months. Like they killed that dude with no water and bugs coming out his mouth. They will wipe you out of society down there if you make a mistake down there. I'm telling you, Florida will too. You know what I mean? They will crack your damn skull open in those places. They're not playing with you Northerners at all. You know what I mean? And be in at 9:30 at night. That's what my brother-in-law told me. Don't be out there after hours.
I want to talk about that now. Listen. Listen. You got if you got to work late night. All I could tell you from experience is make sure all your car stuff is on point. That's all I got to say. Don't be worrying about who don't have their lights on, who don't have their lights off. That's none of your business. Do not be concerned about that. I know those type of people, why they do what they do. The cops know. I stay out of those people's way. That's all I'm going to say. Focus on making sure your stuff is together, especially late at night.
And I'm gonna let you know. And all these people who like to drink, don't be carrying no beers on the street, a brown bag of beer. They will run up on you and knock you on your ASS and take you to jail. In those places, especially in North Georgia,
Just confirmation. I just got something right now. So that's confirmation of what I just said.
Wow.
All right, y'all. That means it's time to go. All right,
I gotta go
Keystone.
too.
Keep on
So,
doing your thing, man.
all right, peace.
Peace. All right, everyone. Thank you for coming through. Shout out to the mods, to the members, to those in the chat room. I did not forget about y'all. Members are going to have that video ready, up and running.